Good afternoon, everyone. Many thanks for joining us today to talk about the Sustainability Fellowship Program here at the University of New Hampshire. We're thrilled by the level of interest we have in this program. And here you can see our agenda for today. I'm especially excited to have fellowship alumni here with us today to speak about their experience. We'll have about 40 minutes of material, and then we'll open it up to questions until 2 p.m. And before we start, I wanted to let you know that we are recording this webinar and we'll have it up on our website soon after. So with that, let's get started. You'll be hearing from several of us today. I am Alexis Dwyer. I coordinate the Sustainability Fellows Program. This program is made possible and run by a team of people, and they are what make this program so special. So although they're not here today, I just wanted to let you know that there is a team that helps provide the support for this program. And I also do have Kelsey and Courtney from the UNH Sustainability Institute here that will be helping monitor the chat and helping. I say someone says I can't hear. I am unmuted, so someone can. Okay. So they'll be monitoring the chat as well and helping to answer some questions. So feel free to chat in questions as they come up, and Kelsey and Courtney will be monitoring them. And then in addition today, you'll hear from two alumni of the fellowship, Judy and Olivia, both alums from this past summer, 2024. So I just wanted to share a little bit more about UNH. So UNH is a national leader in sustainability. In 2022, we celebrated the 25th anniversary of the UNH Sustainability Institute. And UNH is super proud of being one of only 9 schools in the US to currently hold Platinum Stars rating from the Association for the Advancement of Sustainability in Higher Education, the highest possible rating and recognition of sustainability achievements. And UNH students drive sustainability leadership by being involved in the Changemaker Collaborative, which brings together students, faculty, staff, businesses, nonprofits, and government agencies committed to advancing positive change for the good of all. So oftentimes we get asked, what is sustainability all about and what are we working on here at the Institute? And that really is a great question. So we align ourselves with the sustainability 17 UN Sustainable Development Goals, which you see listed here. So thus working in many different areas and disciplines to advance these goals. And many of the ways we advance the SDGs is through a variety of programs and events that serve UNH's students and alumni, as well as regional businesses, nonprofits, and the community at large. So these programs and events include the Be Impact Clinic, Climate Action Clinic, Semester in the City, and of course, the Sustainability Fellowship. So if you're curious, you can check out these different programs on the UNH Sustainability Institute website. And of course, we are here today to discuss the Sustainability Fellowship. The fellowship is all about matching amazing students or post-baccalaureates like all of you with excellent organizations that are doing important work in sustainability. We set the stage with well thought out and planned projects in a collaborative atmosphere. And in turn, our goal is to build resilient communities in a resilient world. We have 3 main goals with the fellowship. The first is to make an impact. These projects are designed to get something done and sustain the organization or company into the future, which creates an impact on the communities and region you are working in. Second, we hope to create an immersive and high-quality learning experience for all of you, possibly even career-launching experiences for fellows who are interested in engaging in sustainability careers. And third, these projects in the summer cohorts come together to be a part of our network of sustainability professionals who are working and learning together throughout the summer and throughout the rest of their careers. So that's an overview of the program, and now we'll go into it a bit further and discuss what sets this opportunity apart from other possible opportunities. So what sets the fellowship experience apart is that you would not only be working as a fellow at one organization, but will be a part of a bigger program that has multiple additional advantages and assets. First of all, we design the project so that you can own them. You will come in and take responsibility of the fellowship project and have autonomy and ownership over your work. The projects are also designed to have tangible outcomes. Thus, at the end of the summer, you'll have accomplished a project that you'll be able to add to your portfolio. You'll also be a part of a cohort of fellows working on different projects at different types of organizations. So there's the opportunity for cross-pollination of ideas and resources, and the advantage to learn about the experience of fellows who are working on all different types of sustainability projects. It can give you a broad view of all the possibilities within the realm of careers and sustainability all in one summer. I mentioned earlier about the network you'll be joining. The network is an advantage in the summer and will be a network for your future as well. You'll be able to rely on the active network for support, mentorship, and for information and resources. The network is made up of all the organizations that we work with and the alumni that have been through the fellowship program. Additionally, not only will you have your fellow fellows with you during the summer, but also the fellowship team here at UNH. There's a whole professional development component of the program that is in addition to your experience with your host organization. You'll have the chance to participate in training, practice your skills, and engage in shared learning with your peers. As noted here, this is a paid opportunity that has been an important part of the program. We believe you should be compensated for your work and the skills you bring to the table. And finally, these projects are designed so you're making an impact. You spend your summer making a difference with these organizations and working on a project that will create lasting change. So what does the summer look like? You'll be primarily focused on your fellowship project at your host organization during the summer. You may be in person with the organization, working remotely, hybrid model of in-person remote, depending on the project. You'll be working on a day-to-day basis with your host organization, and at the same time, there are program activities organized by UNH that you will also participate in. Those activities are designed to set the stage for collaborating with the other fellows, to offer you support, and to help develop your skills throughout the summer. Some of the highlights of that are we start the summer off with a 2-day orientation where you get the chance to know the other fellows, all of us, and other organizations, as well as learn a little bit about the projects that will be going on during the summer. This will lay the foundation for collaboration with everyone. And then a few weeks later, on June 17th and 18th, we'll have an in-person gathering to connect and support one another in your work to make sure you have the resources, the proper plan, and tools in place to complete your project. During the summer on a weekly basis, there are a few different activities that take place. You'll meet with a small group of fellows in an advisory group. So the cohort is broken down into these groups. These are fellows who are working on projects that will be related to yours in some way. They act as a sort of sounding board, a place to work out issues and to talk to others about the work you are doing. And each of the advisory group has 2 advisors to help guide the group. We also host a series of webinars featuring sustainability topics and professional development training sessions. And at the end of the fellowship, we have the final presentations to showcase your work. So those are some of the highlights of the activities that happen on the program side that supplement and go along with your project. The fellowship is entering its 17th year, with this summer being the 18th cohort. So as you can tell, we've had the time to create thoughtful support and programming to create this unique fellowship experience. So this is a really good time to point out that the fellowships are a full-time effort. So we encourage you, if you're doing this, to make sure you're available to focus on a fellowship full-time for the summer. So are the fellowships fully in person? I kind of mentioned this already, but some are in person, some are online, and some are a hybrid model. Thus, for some of you, you may need to relocate, and for others, you may not need to relocate. When the position descriptions are released, just check them out because you'll see which kind of specific working model will be used for those projects that you're applying for. And schedule-wise, most often schedules are worked out between the fellow and the host organization. So just something to be aware of if you are remote, thinking about the time zone differences with your organization. But once again, this would be worked out between the fellow and the organization. In terms of setup, if you're remote, you'll need to have access to a computer with a mic and webcam, high-speed internet, a phone, and a quiet workspace. So I think everyone here probably has that because you're joining. So that's a glimpse into what the fellowships will look like this summer. And we have, as mentioned earlier, we have 2 fellow alumni with us. So many thanks to both of them for joining us today to give us a better glimpse into the fellowship experience. So I'm really delighted to have them and to share the speaking and sharing about their experiences with them. So Judy, I'm hoping she was able to join us. I don't know if she's here yet. So Olivia, do you mind going first? I'm not sure if Judy is here yet, so I'll
Yeah, I
have
can
you.
go.
Excellent, thank you.
Yeah, so my name's Olivia. I'm a senior at the University of New Hampshire. I'm graduating this December with a Bachelor's of Science in Environmental Conservation and Sustainability. So I was a fellow last summer, 2024, and I worked with Scrap. Scrap is a online data-driven waste management software company. So they work with different brands, businesses, and retailers to really understand their waste streams and help better manage it. Scrap is a fully remote company and it's a startup company, which was a really unique experience to be part of. So they only have 5 full-time employees. And everyone works remotely from a bunch of different places throughout the US and even the UK. And we have a nice little virtual office space that I got to work in. So we each had a little character and our desks that we could customize. And this was really nice because even though I was remote, I could just pop over to my coworkers' desks and talk to them and ask questions. So I got to get really close with my coworkers that I worked with, which going into a remote job, I wasn't really expecting. Um, I was able to live at home in Vermont with my family for the summer. But my job at Scrap, I really helped them create a ambassadors program for their clients. So I designed the Scrap Zero Waste Champions program. I made an online community through a platform called School, and we connected clients in there and then really built a bunch of educational resources to help them understand their waste and just bring more awareness and education to it. So I built a whole classroom of courses and I created a schedule, an outline for their weekly posts moving forward. I scheduled weekly office hours moving forward. So when I left for the summer, they had fully had like a a a deliverable from me and they're using it and their clients are using it, which is really cool. And Mikey was my mentor for the summer, and he pretty much gave me free reign of this project. So I was able to design it how I wanted to. And he was there for support when I needed him or questions. But it was really my own, which was cool. And they also gave me little side projects here and there. So I did get to spend some time researching emission factors for various packaging types for their database. I also was just really included in the inner workings of the company. So I got to go to all the company meetings. I was part of a RFP process, which was really cool. And I was just really involved in the company, kept in the loop on things. So even though I was only there for 16 weeks, a pretty short period of time, um, I really felt like a member of the team, which was cool. And not only through this experience do you get to become part of your company's team, but there's also the UNH aspect. So we had our advisory groups. These were a great place to connect and bounce ideas off of each other and with people more in the same situation as me. So we could share our experiences and feelings. A lot of us, it was our first time working in full-time positions. So we got to kind of talk about, working full-time, and it's a little different than, your on and off summer jobs, but you had a great community to help you out. The launch event was also a really cool experience because it was our first time meeting in person and we got to share our ideas, get feedback, network with a bunch of people, not only the other like fellows that we don't really get to see because of our advisory groups, but we got to meet them. We got to meet the other mentors, people from UNH Sustainability Institute. So that was really cool. And this experience was just great to add to my resume. I really got to share these new experiences and gain a bunch of skills, specifically like being a project lead. As a college student, you don't really get to be a project lead on many things, but um, the fellowship allows you to really create your own project. And then I was trying to think about something I wish I had known going into this. For me, working remotely, it was harder than I expected. I'm a really like self-driven, organized person, so I was like, oh, this will be fine. But it was a little bit harder. So just creating routine, I think that goes for in-person jobs too. It's just really creating routine for yourself and It'll be great, and you have other people to talk to too.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Olivia. And I see there's so many questions coming through. We'll get to some of them, but if you have some specific questions for Olivia and Judy, I highly recommend, because it is a unique opportunity to find out about an experience. You're not just talking to me about like fellowship eligibility questions or things that are on. We have the frequently asked questions document that I sent out yesterday. So be sure to click on that. That has a lot of answers to some of these questions I see coming through. But now's your chance to really talk to and ask questions from past fellows. So thank you so much, Olivia. And I know Judy has joined us as well. So Judy, I'll pass it off to you.
Hi, apologies, I was a little late this morning,
No worries.
but happy to talk about my experience and was honored when Alexis asked Olivia and I to join and talk about our experience. So I'll give a little bit of a quick intro about, kind of my educational background, where I'm from. I think I'm a little bit of a slightly non-traditional UNH fellow. So I think it'll be nice that we have that perspective as well. But my name is Judy. I am from Texas. I studied at UT Austin and graduated with my Bachelor's of Architecture in 2022. And then I worked for about a year and a half as an architectural designer. And so when I had started this program, I had already, been in the field for a little bit. But I had become quite interested in sustainability in the built environment as I learned more about decarbonization strategies, building certifications, and I knew that that was kind of the direction that I wanted to take my career in. So I had been applying to grad schools and I found the UNH fellowship online and I was like, oh, this will be great to do right before I start grad school. And so I found a wonderful proposal with Thornton Tomasetti. They're an engineering firm in Portland, Maine. And the fellowship was in person. And so I moved from Texas to Portland, Maine, and was there for about 3 months, obviously doing this fellowship. And most of my work was researching ethical decarbonization, which is a fairly new topic in the built environment. But now I currently work for the same company. They kept me full time, which was fantastic. I originally had planned to go to grad school, but there was a fantastic opportunity here, so I took it. And I'm working in the Boston office of the same company. So this just goes to show kind of how powerful this fellowship can be and kind of what kind of opportunities it can lead to in your career. But yeah, I'll talk a little bit about kind of the mentor-mentee aspect of the program. I know some fellows that may have had more hands-on mentees and some that kind of had more hands-off mentees. I was able to meet with mine kind of at a frequent basis of about once a week, and we'd meet for an hour. And that was me bringing, all of my questions, all of the work that I had done that week and kind of updating them on that progress. And that worked out really nicely for me. I know that, it's kind of different for everyone. But yeah, I had two mentees, which was great because I got both of their perspectives and had different suggestions from them. The UNH kind of like support an ecosystem of the advisors, the orientation, the in-person launch, everything that kind of comes with the program is so helpful and so useful. And I can't emphasize enough kind of how beneficial this framework is. I went into it thinking I'm just going to be kind of involved with my host organization. I was so focused with my own company, and I kind of later realized the benefit of just like being in this cohort. So to speak a little bit about the role of your advisors, they are fantastic people to give you advice and direction on things that you may be struggling with or want a different perspective on. They're wonderful because they're not your mentors or your bosses, but they're also not your peers. So they have this wonderful insight. They have insight into the industry. The launch itself was fantastic. It's just great meeting everyone in person. There's, people in my group who we're all still friends and we all still keep up in our group me. So these are also relationships that kind of last a while. And you may be sitting through the fellowship meetings thinking, oh, I'm busy, like I don't really have time to chat for an hour. But believe me when I say it's probably one of the most valuable parts of the fellowship. Um, just to emphasize like the connections that you form with your fellows, it's really beneficial for many reasons. You go into the workforce and it could be difficult sometimes to find circles of people like this across in sustainability, kind of across different companies, in different fields and like stages of your life. And so again, it's so wonderful that like UNH brings together this cohort of people coming from different backgrounds. You may also be doing similar tasks and can troubleshoot together. There were many times where, someone says, hey, I'm struggling to find a software that does this. And then another person in the group is doing something similar. And so that kind of relationship with your fellows is just super helpful. Something I didn't realize, and my one of my mentors, Zach, brought this up, is that this is just like a great opportunity for like pre-market collaboration. And so like teaming up with your fellows in your group, to kind of do as much as you can together is again another thing that you don't really have an opportunity to do sometimes outside of the fellowship. So that's fantastic. And you realize that you'll have like very vastly different experiences in the fellowship, and then some things where it's like, oh my gosh, yeah, I just did this too. So it's just wonderful to again to have that group. My fellowship was not part of a internship requirement or a thesis or a dissertation, but I know some people who were able to tie those two successfully in my group. I should have said this in the beginning, but I was in person. You can infer this by me moving to Portland, but I was working in person in the office, and it was fantastic because the specific company that I was working at has a lot of events like they have like a woman in Thornton Tomasetti chapter and group where they kind of hosted those events, and I was welcome to join as much or little as I want. And so it was great because it just felt like I was able to connect also with other young professionals in the office. I wasn't siloed in my own intern corner, which was great. I also sat very close to my mentor, so we kind of had a open channel of communication where I could kind of like just lean over and say, hey, Bridget, do you think we can chat about this for a second? And that was really helpful too. A little bit about housing. So because I was moving from Texas to Portland, I definitely needed to find housing through, I looked for a while. I also spent maybe 3 weeks in the summer searching, and I think it was quite hard just because Portland is a popular place to be in the summer. And then many people just go there for, a couple months at a time. So I found my housing through Facebook, but some other fantastic suggestions and other places where I found some leads were Zillow, Furnished Finder, also Airbnb, just because it's such a short period of time that may be more cost effective. I don't know, but another suggestion I also had was going to the nearby universities and asking if they also offered summer housing. And so for the University of Southern Maine, it was a little bit more, I think it was like double what I was paying in rent. So that wasn't particularly a good option for me, but it may be better depending on where you are. So those were some of my resources. I would definitely suggest starting to look for housing as early as possible. I started, maybe like 6 weeks prior to starting 6 or 7 weeks prior to starting the fellowship. And I even wish that I kind of started earlier because it can just be really difficult to lock something down. So yeah, some pieces of advice, and now finishing the fellowship, there's some things that I wish I could tell myself from the beginning. I think I'm overall, so happy with how everything kind of turned out for me, and this was just such a wonderful experience. Going into it, I would say that I was a little nervous. It's normal to be nervous about kind of whether this is your first or second or third job. I was nervous about feeling like I might have lacked the skills technically. And so a huge lesson for me for this fellowship is that it's okay if you don't know every software, if you don't know how to, if you don't have all those technical skills, because they also still know that this is a learning position at the same time it is a fellowship, and so they don't expect you to know everything. But most of the times, I think that employers and your host organizations will appreciate when you have this attitude of just wanting to, you know, being proactive in your own learning. And if you don't know that software, if you don't know that technical skill, that you're kind of taking up the time and being proactive in that learning. So yeah, because I was switching from architecture to like mainly a sustainability role, I was definitely nervous about like, oh my gosh, will my skills transfer? There's going to be so many things maybe that they say that I don't know. But I found that that wasn't the case at all, and that there wasn't this crazy pressure for me to know everything like I thought. But also in your fellowship, it's, you know, you're still early in your career, and this is a great time, I think, to ask questions that may seem quote unquote dumb, because this is the time to learn. And so I've found personally that when I withhold my questions, that it kind of bites me later, and I find, oh, I just spent, you know, 5 hours doing something that I could have asked about earlier, and maybe it could have been clarified. So definitely don't be scared to ask questions. And I think before going into the fellowship, I would maybe identify 1 or 2 soft skills that you want to build on and 1 or 2 technical skills that you want to improve on. I think that's kind of like a helpful like framework for what you want to get out of this fellowship, and just like being intentional about what you want to improve in your work, I think is helpful to do in the beginning. I also would say that the better I think like public speaking is definitely a component of the fellowship, because you're presenting your posters at the launch. And I think for many people, at least in my advisory group, we kind of had a lot of conversations with either clients or other consultants, or just, you know, there's a lot of talking also going on with other people who are outside of your host organization. And that's not something to be scared of. I think that the more comfortable you can feel with public speaking, I think the more you'll be able to progress. So I think that's inevitably a skill that I think I started to gain in the fellowship. That wasn't something that I was that I had much experience with. So that's just another thing that kind of came out of it. But overall, yeah, this was just a wonderful summer. And, you know, I'm really grateful to UNH that it also kind of brought me to my full-time position now, which I love. So yeah, it's just a wonderful experience, and I would definitely take advantage and apply, because you never know where you'll land and who you'll land with and who you'll meet. So yeah.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Judy and Olivia. And we absolutely love non-traditional applicants. We had plenty of them last year. So I'm actually going to put in the chat a blog post that announced our fellows for this past summer. So you can kind of get an idea of some of the projects, but also you can see like all the different places people came from all across the US. Of course, many of our post-baccalaureates are from across the US. Our UNH, or undergrads are only from UNH, but you are considered a post-baccalaureate if you graduate this coming spring. So you can apply for those, but we absolutely love all of our non-traditional ones that we had this summer. So that's excellent. And so many great, so much great insight from both of you. So thank you so much. And maybe check the chat. I know the chat's flying by, but see if there's any questions that you maybe want to just type and answer or get ready to answer once we come to the Q&A portion. But I do want to keep going, because seeing in the chat, there's a lot of questions that we're going to answer in these next few slides before we do get to the Q&A. So let's go ahead. So really now we kind of heard from Judy and Olivia, and hopefully that's given you some better idea about what it's like to be a fellow and the work that they were doing. But I did want to talk to you all about the project topic types that we generally have for the summer and how to apply to the program itself. And then we'll open it up to questions. So this summer, we're hoping to have about 45 projects to select from. It's tricky to know the exact number because we're actually finalizing those as we speak. So that's pretty exciting. And some of those projects, as mentioned, will be for undergraduates and some for post-baccalaureates, which is anyone that's graduated as of May 2025. So if you're looking at the projects when they're posted online, you'll see that they're divided between the two, and then some will actually be open to either undergraduates and post-baccalaureates. And it's really helpful as well to see on that blog post that I chatted in, you can see that people are coming from all different disciplines and all different levels of education. And projects each summer fall into all different categories, such as the categories that you see here. We have everything from cities and town municipalities to big companies and nonprofits in different locations of where the work is taking place. And there's quite a range of the different types of work that you could work on. So as an example, last year, the work fell into 4 different themes that you see here: research and resilience, shared value, data, energy, and greenhouse gas emissions, and community engagement. So that's a really quick overview of the type of projects you might find for the summer. But once again, you can look at that blog post to see those examples from last summer. And as mentioned, we're currently reviewing host organization applications and plan to have the descriptions posted to our website on December 20th. So we'll send out an email to the attendees of this webinar, the registrants as well. So if you registered, you'll get an email. So you'll be among the first to know when those go live. And in addition to there being different types of topics to work on and different organizations to work with, there's also a different focus for each type of work. So some of these are really technical and academic research and analysis type projects. Some of them are more focused on policy and planning, implementing new programs, working with government, and others are focused on communication, reaching out to communities, and engaging community members in the work. And of course, there's some that cross all of them, right? Kind of how you heard from Judy and Olivia, how some of it was research heavy, but then they were reaching out to stakeholders and community members as well. So in addition to there being these different themes, there's also the different types of work you can engage in. So all of that said, with all of the different fellowship opportunities, how do you go about deciding which project or projects are the right ones for you? So there really are a few things to think about. So first, is the topic something that you're interested in wanting to know more about? Is the work appealing to you? As mentioned earlier, some are data analysis focused, others are more community engagement focused. Do you like to talk to people all the time, or do you love to analyze data? So really think about the type of work you would like to be doing for 40 hours a week, because we want you to enjoy and engage in the work that you're doing. And kind of as mentioned as well from Judy and Olivia, perhaps you have goals for specific skills or experience you want to gain as a result of this work. So think about whether these projects are going to offer you that opportunity. Again, all various different types of organizations to work with, and a lot of people come to this program specifically because they're looking for a way to gain experience in a specific type of an organization. So maybe they're interested in municipal government, or maybe they really want to see what it's like to work in a small nonprofit or a large company, and this offers you a chance to think about that. And finally, qualifications. Of course, if you want to be awarded the fellowship, please try to apply for one that you have some qualifications for. So let's talk some more about eligibility. There are the 2 different cohorts of projects that you've heard us talking about. The one set of projects is designed specifically for undergraduates from UNH. So these will be students who have not finished their undergrad degrees before the program starts this summer. Those are students who are currently first, second, and third year students. And then we have a post-baccalaureate cohort, so a separate set of projects that are designed for students who will finish their undergrad degrees before the program starts. So those projects are open to post-baccalaureates from UNH and post-baccalaureates across the US with a US university affiliation. So for those projects, current seniors will be considered because they would have finished their degree before the program starts, as well as recent graduates and graduate students. So you'll note that the compensation is a little bit different for each of the group projects, and that is because the students in the post-bac cohort will likely have more training and more experience and be able to offer their organizations a little bit higher level of work. And then, of course, each specific project has specific academic background, skills, and experience that they may be looking for that are tied to the needs of the actual project. So once you figure out what projects you're interested in, you'll want to look at those and figure out those exact requirements. And definitely take a look at all of them because we have everything. Last year, I can think of like from forest management or urban forestry to community engagement to so many different things. You can see it in that blog post. And then, as mentioned, I think I said it earlier, but some of them are listed as either undergraduate and post-baccalaureate. So it's kind of 3 different sections. Let's see. And there's a lot of qualities that our awesome fellows have every single year. So the fellows are really passionate. So I just want to share some of those qualities that make a wonderful fellow. So collaborative, adaptable, and advocate for what they're working on. Fellows are excellent communicators, system thinkers, and are motivated to make a difference. So if that feels like that speaks to you, then this program is definitely. So I want to get through quickly on how to apply. So project descriptions mentioned will be posted on December 20th, and the links to the application will go live then as well. The final due date of the application is February 9th. And here we have some of the application instructions, and these are all on our website as well. But when applying, you're able to choose up to 2 projects you want to apply for. You don't have to apply for to 2, but you can apply for 1 if you like, but there's the option to apply for 2 and highly recommend, right? Applying for more than 1. And for each project you're applying towards, you'll write a specific cover letter. So this is to give you a chance to make a connection between your skills, experience, and interests and the needs and opportunities of the project. And then you'll be submitting your resume. So this is something you could even prepare now, right? Before December 20th. And you only need to submit 1 resume for your application. You don't need to change your resume for each project you're applying for. And you'll also need to provide contact information for 3 references. We don't want letters of recommendation. We just want the contact information. So their name, email, and phone number. And finally, we ask for a writing sample. And this is an opportunity to show off your communication skills. So select something that's in the style of communication that will be required for the projects that you're applying for. And if you don't have something exact, that's fine as well. But if you're applying to do a research project and you do have an academic piece of writing, that would be perfect. Community engagement project, you might want to select something that you've written for a public audience if you have that. And if you're applying for 2 different types of projects, there is a 2-page limit for your writing sample, but you could submit 2 1-page writing samples if you'd like to show off 2 different types of writing. So those are the things that you'll need to get ready for your application. So you could even start doing that now. And we ask that you put all your application documents in 1 package with a file name that looks like this here on the screen. So be your first name, last name, in 2025, as all as 1 PDF. So all of these instructions on the website as well. And we do ask that you put it in this order that you see here to assemble it into the PDF. So cover letters first. If submitting more than 1 cover letter, please order cover letters according to your preference. And then include your resume, references, and your writing sample with that 2-page limit. And then you put all of that together in 1 PDF and attach it to the application that will go live on December 20th. So here's a timeline leading right up to the application all the way through the summer. So how many times am I going to say December 20th? But December 20th is when the projects will be posted and the application will be opened. January 20th is when our team here at UNH will actually begin to review application submissions with a final deadline of February 9th, just because we need to give ourselves that head start. And then after February 9th, we do our best to get through the applications and conduct all the interviews at the end of February and the beginning of March. But inevitably, they're going to go later into the month of March. It's just how schedules work with all of the people that we're coordinating interviews with. And just to give you an example, last year we conducted around 150 interviews. So it is a lot of coordination. And then we hope to reach out to everybody with offers or awarding their application by late March. But most likely it's always around April 1st. It's just really hard to turn them around. But you may hear earlier depending on that project. And then in terms of the program itself, it begins on May 27th with orientation, which is 2 days, May 27th and 28th. So it's 2 full days of orientation with the UNH team, and it's all held virtually. And then the whole fellowship itself runs from May 27th to August 15th. There is a 400-hour commitment during that time, so that's the equivalent of 10 full-time weeks over the course of almost 12 weeks. So there's a bit of leeway in there for some time off. And I want to be sure to highlight the orientation and 2 events that will happen. The orientation, launch, and final presentation are all required events. So if you have scheduled conflicts in any of those dates, that's something you'll need to resolve before accepting the fellowship, as those are not optional components of the program. And the reason for that is because they're just a real integral part of the programming itself. So there are opportunities when we all get together to learn about what everyone else is doing and who everybody else is. And if you can't be a part of those, then it's hard to be a part of the program. So hopefully everybody can be available for those dates. And especially, I mean, all of them are important, but it's especially exciting to note that the June 17th and 18th launch event is in person, and we bring everyone together here in New Hampshire to meet together for 2 days. And that in-person component is so special. We really do enjoy that time. So we've made it to the question and answer portion. So I know that Courtney and Kelsey have been monitoring the chat, so they might be able to unmute and ask a question if there's been one that they see repeated that may need to be answered or clarified, or if we have a question specifically for Olivia and Judy that we would like answered. Like I mentioned before, definitely check out the FAQs. That's a great place to find answers to questions. Courtney and Kelsey, is there anything we should address first?
There's been a few questions about like reimbursement for transportation. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, really good question. So the transportation, so let me step back a second. So of course, as mentioned earlier, and as you saw on the screen, you receive a stipend is the easiest way to explain it for your 400 hours. And so that's something that you'll log like in a time card, and there's training for that during the orientation. But if you are incurring mileage for your specific project, so we had a fellow this past summer, as an example, working with the Department of Health and Human Services, and they were driving across the state of New Hampshire to different farmers markets. The host organization, so DHHS, is where they submitted mileage reimbursement forms to. So that covers your travel for your actual project. There is no relocation. So if you relocate, there is no relocation support, because that's on your own. So really think of it as like an actual job for the summer that either you accept it and move, or unfortunately, maybe that isn't an option for you. I highly recommend to see if your university offers any support. I know some of our fellows this past summer, actually, they received scholarships for summer opportunities from their colleges. So definitely see what's available at your university to see what could support you through the summer. And then for the summer in-person launch event, if you are local, there's a whole entire planning coordination that we implement for that time. So I don't want to go into all the details. Judy and Olivia know how much it takes to get everyone together here in person. But if you are a distance away, we take care of your travel to the Durham area, and we set up housing on campus. So that's set up. I hope that answers the question. Great question.
Sorry if you already mentioned this, Alexis. We had another question that asked about requirements for the references. Would it be just anyone that isn't friends or family, or can you include anyone from those categories in your references?
That's a great question. So we definitely do reach out to references. So I would highly recommend that it's someone that you've worked with on a professional or academic level. So I'm thinking a professor that you work closely with who can speak to your experience and background, or a part-time job that you've had. Anything really can work. We've had plenty of people, who've worked at Market Basket. They give those references, and they also give, if they're part of a campus club or a professor, we really want to hear a reference where we can talk to them about your experiences that we see on your resume and what we learn about in your cover letter. But that's a great question. We definitely do talk to every single person's references. So, good question.
A few more, Alexis. One, are there any events to be able to meet the rest of the cohort over the summer? And also, when do most students complete the fellowship?
Yeah, good question. So the official time to come together and meet all of the fellows is on June 17th and 18th for this coming summer. So that's that in-person launch event. We highly recommend that fellows get together in their geographic regions if they're able to. So say there's some people who are in Connecticut, getting together for coffee or lunch, whatever it may be. So we highly recommend just those informal meetups, but June 17th and 18th is when we'll all be coming together. It's 2 days. The first day is all the fellows and all of the advisors. So it's around 60 people come together. And then on day 2, it's all of the fellows, all of the advisors, and all of the mentors from the 45 or so host organizations. So that's over 100 people. We also have alumni that come. So that's an incredible networking opportunity. I actually had a Zoom earlier today with one of our incredible fellows from this past summer who they're graduating with their master's this December, and they wanted to just talk to me about some of that networking, connecting the dots. And I immediately was like, oh, did you meet so-and-so in person? You should reach out to them about this job that they're hiring for. So it was really exciting to be able to connect with someone within the network, and they remembered meeting someone at the in-person event. So that's wonderful. And then, something just to mention about coming together. So I think we may have touched on this, but the in-person, remote, and hybrid roles are all across the Northeast. So we'll have projects in Maine, in New Hampshire, Massachusetts, I believe Connecticut. Last year we had a few in Connecticut. I think we'll even have one in Delaware this summer. We'll have in Connecticut. We actually have a few in Connecticut. So so all across New England, and but at that one time to come together in person. Kelsey, what was the other part of the question that you asked?
When do most students complete the fellowship?
Oh, yes. So the fellowship are those dates. I can go back a couple of slides. So these are the dates. So May 27th to August 15th, and typically fellows finish on August 15th. They're not finishing early. Maybe they finish on August 14th. The fellow final presentations are the 7th. So you can imagine there's some work that goes into that. And then you really want to wrap up your project at the end after that. So the final fellow presentations is a virtual event. It's a wonderful time to once again show what you completed, accomplished in this summer, which is always really incredible work. That presentation goes up on our YouTube channel. So you can post it on your LinkedIn, share it out, kind of showcase the work that you did. But usually after that, you're probably giving much longer format presentations to your actual host company and any large stakeholders that they may be involved with in this work. So August 7th is by no means the end. It's just the kind of like a celebration, but you're going to do a lot of work up to the 15th. But we have some people who end on the 14th, but it's generally right up to the end.
I think this person means more like, do freshmen usually do it, sophomores?
Oh, sorry. Okay.
That's okay.
Well,
Sorry, I
hopefully
wasn't
the
very
question
clear.
still helps someone. But okay, so of course, so this is addressing UNH undergraduates. So of course it's going to be rising sophomores, juniors, and seniors, like rising into that, right? So they're going to be a sophomore in 2020, fall 2025. And we do have some sophomores, so I would always say that they should apply. You never know what your unique experience could bring to the project. But we have plenty of juniors and rising seniors as well. But I just encourage you, the projects are so specific. So just to touch on, we kind of mentioned it, but you're applying to the specific project itself. And you just never know. You might have had some random experience in your life that lends itself to the project work. And you would be the perfect candidate. So I highly recommend applying. And then post-baccalaureates, I know that question wasn't for that, but we see everyone from a post-baccalaureate who's just graduated with their undergraduate degree to someone, we had someone who defended their PhD this past summer while they were a fellow. So that was really exciting to see them wrap up their 10-year, PhD journey with the fellowship, which was incredible. And then we have people who are much later on who've had full-on careers in their life, and they have decided that sustainability is important to them, and they've gone back and they're getting their master's, and then they decided to do this during the summer. So really incredible humans that you meet through this program.
Alexis, we had one question early on in the chat that was asking about opportunities working with policy and government in terms of sustainability.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Definitely apply. We have some really great policy and government ones. I can't think of one off the top of my head at the moment, but we have a lot of municipalities. The UNH Sustainability Institute coordinates a network called NEMS. It's a network of municipalities that are focused on sustainability. And a lot of those NEM network communities apply to have fellows, and some of them aren't related to policy, but then a lot of them are. So 100%, we absolutely love individuals with policy background, lots of projects. Opportunities to work in the health field. Yes, we have a project this summer with the Department of Health and Human Services that is in the health field. I can't give specifics yet, but definitely check it out. That's the other thing too, like if you have friends who they might not even see themselves as sustainability students, like just send them the link to these projects, because there's some really specific work that's coming this summer. I wish I could remember them off the top of my head, but it's very fascinating work that goes into making the UN Sustainable Development Goals a reality. Judy, do you have something to add?
Yeah, I was just going to say that I realized I didn't talk much about what I had researched. And to your point, Alexis, I focused more so on the ethical components of materials and where they're being sourced for the building industry. So although this is a sustainability fellowship, like there's still all the sustainability goals and those tie in. And so mine wasn't like directly environmentally sustainable, but it was more focused on the ethics. So yeah, there's that breadth. And I don't think many people, in my case, like I come from an architecture background, I don't think many people from an architecture background would have found this or like would have been looking for it. But then I found kind of like the description of the program that I did, and I was like, wait, this is completely applicable. So I agree with Alexis. I would totally send this to friends who maybe aren't like explicitly interested in sustainability, because there's a range of programs. Or projects, not programs.
I'll see a brief example of some other past projects. It's so funny. I'm so enthusiastic that like my brain is like blanking on projects, but I can definitely think of a few. This past summer, we had a fellow working on resilience in a coastal community in Connecticut. So talking to people about just the increase of sea level rise, of flooding, and how that is impacting the community and what the community can do to take action now. So a lot of community engagement, a lot of research, a lot of taking a lot of information and data, but making it available to community members so they can take action themselves to make actionable steps. So that was one. We had a fellow working with, engineering sustainability in a large factory to figure out how they can lower their emissions through their processes in their factory. So that's interesting. We had a fellow working on, gosh, this is so funny. It's so hard to think of specific projects. Judy or Olivia, if you have like favorites that you love to talk about. Oh, we had one that did GIS mapping of conservation lands, because it really is fascinating to think about that conservation lands are always changing, but the database of them does not get updated. So there was a consulting firm that was brought in on this project to kind of be the person in between all these organizations doing this conservation work in the database of GIS conservation lands. So this company, this consulting firm, was in between connecting the dots. And so to be able to have accurate data of conservation lands is so incredible. But Judy and Olivia, are there favorites from last summer that come to mind?
Oh, yeah, we had Aiden in our group who worked with Lindt, the chocolate company. That was an awesome one. We always loved hearing his updates. We had someone working with Orvis, another working with a chemical company. And there was another one for, I forgot the name of the coffee company, but we had a lot of Dean's
Yeah.
Beans, yes. So those are really interesting ones too.
Yeah, a lot of greenhouse gas emissions. Olivia, go ahead.
Yeah, I know we had someone working for the city of Dover doing street trees and cleaning up the trees. Then we had someone working with Hypertherm to plant a Milwaukee forest. That was super interesting. Someone working with Shoals Marine Laboratory on an island and tracking their energy use and solar installation. Those are the ones that come to mind.
That makes me remember, Olivia, we always have one every summer that's on Hurricane Island off the coast of Maine, where the fellow works on education for their student programs, but also on their off-grid sustainability grid to work on it. So that's an incredible project where the person actually gets to live there. And then we have ones that are more shared value focused. So you can tell that none of us were in the shared value advisory group, but shared value is like really seeing how companies can not only achieve their mission, but achieve sustainability goals as well. So we have finance companies like Prime Buckholz that's a part of that. Now I'm forgetting the other ones, but you can really go back and look at that blog post, and that will show you the ones for last year. And if you look around on our blog and do some different searching, you could also find blog posts from every previous summer as well. Kelsey and Courtney, do you think there's any big ones that we still need to answer before we wrap up in a minute?
I think we're looking pretty good. I think any questions that were brought up initially, you answered, and then some of those kind of more specific ones look like we've covered as well.
Well, thank you, Kelsey and Courtney, so much for helping behind the scenes. Judy and Olivia, thank you so much for joining us and offering that firsthand experience perspective. To everyone here and those of you watching the recording, we're so delighted to have you interested in this program. It's because of individuals like yourself that really are going to be able to change our community, regions, and the world as we work towards those UN Sustainable Development Goals. And we truly do look forward to reading your applications. It is such a bright time when we get to look at your applications for these incredible projects. And we can't wait to post them in a little bit over a month. So they'll be live so soon, and you'll be getting that email directly from me, so you know. And we definitely hope that you share them with your friends as well, because you might see a couple that are perfect for you, but there's probably someone out there for those other ones as well, if they are so specific. So thank you all so very much, and I look forward to being in touch. Bye.